second game. They tried that kind of splash into ADRE, ended up selling the Kerchies Shard. I don't think it really accomplished anything. They've seen some little different looks. We saw that the Senna plus the Glista, that didn't really work for them either. So if there's anything left for Weibo, you got to bring it out now.
Is it the Emperor of Shurima, though? And it is. It's going to be locked in for Xiaohu. This is his oldest signature pick from even back when I was casting the LPL. He was definitely a lover of this one. And speaking of lovers, the duo themselves going to be locked in here by T1. Favorites of them also.
Really big pivot here coming out from T1. I was actually thinking about the Kalista. That to me seemed like a pickup that could come through, but with the Renata gone, doesn't look like they want to prioritize it quite the same way. I would love the Poppy. I think that Poppy Azir specifically is a really strong combo, and it's also one of Weiwei's best champions. We'll see what owner ends up picking up into it, but I do think that Weibo are kind of forced to pick up a bot lane here to prevent getting banned out.
Yeah, and they're clearly not sure if they want to go for Poppy here, so they're just buying themselves a little bit more time. They do grab Varus, and will it be a full bot lane to answer, or will he go towards that Poppy? Because I agree, Weiwei, it is his best champion. It's great as an answer to the Rakan. It answers a lot of the meta top laners that we're seeing today as well. But there is that risk of, if you don't grab your bot laner now, you could get banned out, and potentially things could go terrible in the bottom lane.
No, you're exactly right. Well, speaking of the bottom lane, a lot of pressure here if the Heimerdinger is going to be locked in, but instead it's the Bard, and this is a big question on a lot of people's minds. Is Crisp happy to bring this one out? It's one of the ones that Keria has looked fantastic on, and now it's going to be Crisp's turn at the champion. See whether it is going to work out here, as now the shoe is on the T1 foot.
It is an interesting pick, but generally I like Bard as the later pick in the draft. When you have multiple immobile carries, I think it's really strong. But now T1 can just go champions that have dashes, that have the ability to actually avoid this ultimate. And already you have a call. You can dodge it with your R, you can dodge it with your E, you can have the speed up from your W to move out of it. So there's a lot of ways already there. Plus Xayah can ult for ult. That's not the best trade, but this is not like an Ashe or Iana type team that Bard, I think, is going to have an incredible amount of success into. So even if Crisp has a good game, I don't think that really guarantees you anything with the pick from this angle.
And I was actually looking towards the Sylas, even with no Maokai yet being picked up. We've seen that be a really popular counter pick into the Azir. It is going to be the Akali instead. Obviously does suffer a little bit more in lane, but once you get to the side lane, incredible amount of damage that can come out, and we've seen T1 use any form of side lane pressure really well within the series thus far. Also do note, with the Varus already being there, and I wouldn't be surprised if Weibo try to do the same thing that T1 have done into a lot of these Xayah Rakan lanes, which is go very bot focused, right? Because we already have the Varus and the Bard. We don't know what the jungler is going to be, and they want to deny the Wukong as a way to reliably getting to that back line.
And if the Poppy is banned away, which is the champion that's most fun to play, it is going to be the Lee Sin. And once again, owner is going to be on his signature pick. And now, with counter pick going towards either technically, you know, Zeus or Faker, but probably Zeus. A difficult choice now for the Shy. Does he run it back?
Bel'Veth.
Third time in a row. Bel'Veth going to be locked in here. The Shy thinking about the electric rat, and it is going to be the cannon locked in. Now, what is the answer from Zeus?
It could just be something like a Gnar if he wants to play it a little bit more safe. I do think you want to be pretty careful about what you're playing into a Kennen plus a Bel'Veth. A lot of times we've seen it heavy on the invades, heavy on that top side pressure. Something like a Gnar, you know, would keep you relatively safe, but the Aatrox, this is a confident pick. I feel like if he's going Aatrox into the Kennen Bel'Veth, that is some scary stuff, but Zeus has been playing out of his mind this entire series, and we'll have to see if it's going to work for them. But I respect Weibo taking a big pivot here, right? They go towards comfort with the Azir. They go towards something very different on the top side with the Kennen Bel'Veth. They go towards Bard. They can move around the map. They can set up fights. They can be able to try to potentially, you know, group up around this Bel'Veth, invade owner heavily, and see if they can find a way into this series.
And in the previous games, and in a lot of the games where T1 have looked as dominant as they did, it's all about the lane prio. Do they have early laning leads? Can they push those to the furthest? When I look at the lanes here, that's not going to be the case. Even if Zeus and Faker play the matchup extremely well, for the first 6 levels at the very least, barring any major owner or carrier interference, you're not going to have the best of times. Same for bot lane, Varus, Bard, going to be really tough to deal with. So I do think that Weibo have a lot of prio set up, and compare that, or add the Bel'Veth to that, might be their opportunity to find their way back into the series.
No, I agree. I think pivoting away from these Maokai drafts that we've seen over and over again is going to be a breath of fresh air for this team, and that's precisely what they need with their backs this far against the wall in the World Final.
And I think more than anything, they need a good start, right? They need a confidence booster. They need something to go right for them early here that they can rally around, that they can build that confidence in, and really just try to get into a comfort zone because they have looked nervous, they have looked uncomfortable. T1, from the time they walked out on the stage, looked cool, calm, collected, and it has showed in their play.
It absolutely has, and I just want to see some play that is going to show me why Danny had such a huge grin on his face when he was walking back from the coach's booth with the team. And here we are to find out on to the Rift for game number 3. Match point for T1 as they are up 2-0 in this series. See whether they're going to be ending the world final in this one or whether Weibo Gaming can bring us to at least a game 4.
And T1 themselves know that just being at match point, not going to be enough.
And you can connect your League of Legends account with Prime Gaming, grab the exclusive Braum W emote. We might not be able to say this again, so just make sure
do it now.
That you do it now.
You gotta be quick.
Yeah.
Well, you don't, but you know, you do got to do it.
Yeah, you should do it.
I mean, you can also do it post-finals, right?
Right, but as long as you do it, that's
the important part.
Yeah.
Need at the emote.
Yeah.
And I think that we saw last year with the run that DRX was able to make, that just being in a rough position, looking like you're down and out, that in of itself doesn't mean that the series is lost. And I think we see it both in T1, how much more, as you were saying, calm and collected, not just when they came out, but particularly when you see them. And this also goes back to the series against JDG, where even when they got the early wins, there was no apparent joy, right, that you'd expect, because they know just because you're up 2-0 doesn't mean that if Weibo doesn't get this game, gets a good angle in draft, can bring it back.
And look at this start here from T1. It was Owner starting over on the Raptors, and he actually got leashed on Raptors by Zeus because they were so nervous about that potential invade that Bel'Veth teams have been doing so often. Also worth noting that Crisp, level 1, ran straight top and gave a lane ward to the Shy, which is going to deny the ability for Zeus to poke in and out of that brush, drop aggro, be able to hide and use that. So really emphasizing that play towards the top side. And we'll see where Weiwei does want to go because he is just power farming on his bot side for now. So we'll be clearing up towards top, but no sort of a move towards an invade.
Yep, going to be able to finish off his red buff. We'll then get things sorted as Faker here on his 5th unique champion of the tournament as we have a look at all of the lanes so far. Weibo actually with great position as far as tempo and control is concerned.
Yeah, and this is what we were talking about. This should be heavily in favor of Weibo. We do see Faker is able to put in a little bit of pressure. I think that's partially because they're not 100% certain where Owner is. I don't think he was tracked early on, but both for the Shy and for Crisp and Light, they're able to find the early leads. Now the question is, can they maybe set up, say, a double scuttle or get an early back? The Shy also did go for call, so is looking to try and play as aggressively as possible while naturally being able to get ahead just by the virtue of cashing out.
Yep, Light getting some Bel'Veth wards in there as well, just to give Weiwei the opportunity to get towards the enemy jungle. Right now, he is just finishing off his top side. Is going to be able to get that one through, and then it is Rift Scuttlers that we're looking at as T1 moving a little bit further forward is Carrier, but not going to be punished too hard, just loses 50% of his health bar. And we are just going to see Weiwei on this ward for T1. So vision given over, some information there T1 do gather in this early stage.
And it could mean Owner goes top because now you know that the jungler can't be there to answer, so there is a potential angle to look for him. And he did just use his lightning rush, so I think he's in trouble.
Yeah, there's the flash Q3 from Zeus. The Shy is in trouble. The lightning rush is on cooldown. He gets slowed down by the cripple, and the Q's going to land. Owner secures it, and that is first blood for T1.
It's perfect timing from T1, and it's all because of the Raptors ward. It was a clear top to bot from Weiwei, but he wrapped down to try to go towards that bot side scuttle. As soon as they saw him on that ward, they knew they could go for it on top side. Zeus, no hesitation, starts it off with the flash in. But without that E from Kennen, there's just no way you're going to get out of that long lane.
And we will see if Weiwei is able to maybe make a play towards bot side as Owner making his way over to mid.
That's going to safeguard forward there as Faker dashes in, and Xiaohu will survive. Faker just barely managing to walk away.
Whoa.
As now they come in. Oh, the grand entrance, phenomenal from Carrier. We'll see whether he can survive though. He's trying to get out. The piercing arrow will do it. And Weibo Gaming even out the scoreline.
Light knocks him down. That was a big kill for them on the bot side. They need something to rally around, and perhaps it is Light in this potentially final game.
Tell you what, that was a pretty cool looking grand entrance though.
I gotta say, Weibo, again, to me, he is the guy that makes it happen. I think he's been the player that has really impressed me the most here on Weibo. He keeps trying to make these plays, and it's been kind of the saving grace for Weibo in the early game with how much they've been pressured.
And you have to say, it's really concerning to see the Shy die top lane once again here with how Zeus has been playing. If you cannot keep this guy down, he is just on fire. But it is Zeus with no flash, and it is Crisp up on top side. But missing his Ignite, I don't know that you can really go into this wave and try to fight him.
You can see Zeus is going to get some vision down on top of the ward that Weibo already have. And they know that this is where they need to defend, right? You can see the Shy with a couple of wards already invested here towards this top side. Now underneath this turret, Zeus finding these little cues. Magical Journey, definitely a possibility, and Weiwei wants to take it with Crisp here. Let's see whether they can get an angle. 3 versus 1. He does try and get out. There's the World Ender. He's trying to avoid all of this CC, and it's not going to work. There's the kill for Weiwei.
Really good communication there for Weibo. They know that Zeus wants to try and get the wave in, so the Shy is setting himself up as juicy bait, and Zeus takes it.
But the question is, how much do you lose bot side? Because we talked about Light as the hope in this game. Light now is going to be fully zoned off the wave. They lose the Dragon as well, because there was so much time spent topside. They're going to lose at least 1 plate bot, maybe 2, and likely most of, if not all of this wave, because he's totally zoned off until Crisp arrives. So, yes, they do get a kill on top side, but T1 are taking a lot down here on bot as well.
And it's not going to be a Cloud Soul this time around, gentlemen. It is going to be Cloud Drake coming up second, so we will get a different Soul. We'll see what that is going to be a little bit later on. Zeus comes back up towards this top side, about 20 CS down. So the top lane that Weibo have been focusing on is kind of working out, but like you're talking about, so much is going to hinge around Light. Does still have a CS advantage. That bottom side certainly is somewhere that T1 can play through.
And this is also where the early kill on Light, I think, makes a really big difference, because the fact that he was able to get that kill means that even with him having to give up some of his laning lead and Gumayushi picking up a plate, still going to be in a great position. Gumancaria, though, now taking control, as we do have Weiwei here again.
Yeah, Control Ward has come in, of course. Crisp, he can make these tunnels. So they are a little bit closer than you might otherwise expect, but no, not going to pull the trigger on anything, understanding that T1 have full information of what's going on.
Exactly. They knew they've been spotted. They're not sure where Owner is on the map right now, so it would be a risky play if Owner is shadowing them. He is level 6, so Weiwei just going to keep